Hello, good morning, and welcome everybody to our webinar today on Thailand's semiconductor and smart electronics manufacturing solutions, hosted by the Thailand Board of Investment's North American offices in Los Angeles and New York. My name is Paul Brogan. I'm Vice President Client Services at ROI Research on Investment, and I will be the moderator for today's session. Before we get started, we just want to cover some housekeeping as usual. Many of you have submitted questions as part of the registration process. Our presenters have tried to address these as much as possible in their presentations during the webinar. However, we will have a Q&A session where they will be addressing some of these topics at the end of the webinar as well. We'll also have the floor open to questions. So there is an option in Zoom to submit any questions throughout the webinar. Please feel free to submit them there. We're going to try to get to as many as we can. However, we do have a lot of content to cover in an hour. So if there's any questions that we cannot cover, the team will reach out to you in the coming days. Today's webinar is being recorded. We'll make the recording available to all attendees in the coming days. Just keep an eye out for an email. So now I would like to pass it over to our first speaker, Mr. Iricho Tamrongraktam, the Director of the Thailand Board of Investment, Los Angeles office.
Hi, thank you. Good morning from LA, everyone. I would like to thank you and welcome you all to today's webinar organized by Thailand Board of Investment. For those of you who don't know much about us, Thailand Board of Investment, or the BOI, is the government agency under the Office of the Prime Minister. Our main role is to promote investment into Thailand. We are your first and local contact here in the US. Examples of our services would be to provide basic information about Thailand and the investment opportunities within the countries, like what we are doing today. We also facilitate companies setting up operations in Thailand. And once you are in Thailand, we are also the one who give incentives for your businesses. As you can see, we are your true partner being here with you from the beginning until your success. For today's webinar, which is Thailand's Semiconductor and Smart Electronic Solutions, we are honored to have three distinguished speakers here with us today. The first speaker is Mr. Chanin Khaochan, the Deputy Secretary General of the BOI. He will be presenting about the investment opportunities within this sector, giving you the reason why companies should invest in Thailand, especially the new incentive scheme that would strengthen what we offer to this sector to catch up with the rising demand for electronic products and hence their manufacturing expansion during this COVID-19 pandemic. Second speaker is Mr. Narat Luchirat, Executive Director of Electrical and Electronics Institute of Thailand. He will be explaining in more detail about the supply chain and ecosystem, as well as the Human Resource Development Program. Last but not least, we are also honored to have Mr. Vivek Jain, Senior Vice President, Technologies and Manufacturing Group of Maxim Integrated. He sent about experience in doing business in Thailand. Maxim has been in Thailand for more than 20 years. You will learn that the company is still enjoying the tax holiday benefits from the Thai government. Unlike in other countries, our incentive is a project-based, not the company-based. So the company keep getting new incentives after their expansions. And of course, you will also learn a lot of tips and advice from him during the sessions. That would be what I would like to highlight for our webinar today. I hope you enjoy our program. Thank you. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Iricho, for the introduction. So now I'd like to pass it over to Mr. Chanin Khaochan, Deputy Secretary General of the Thailand Board of Investment.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I hope you see my slide. I would like to go to the point that I would like to talk to you today about the electronic in Thailand, electronic industry. So Thailand and electronic industry is very important for Thai country because it contribute to our economy. Electronic industry is ranking #1 in terms of export value of Thailand products to export to all over the world, and most of them export to United States and ASEAN, among our ASEAN country, and also China. Thailand have the strong supply chain in semiconductor and electronic for a long time, since 1974, and we complete the whole supply chain. Just only wafer fab that is a missing link from in Thailand. We don't have wafer fab in Thailand, and PCB is on PCB from Thailand is ranking #5, is the same as USA. So recently we are going to get more investor in this sector, and this sector is very important for us. This year, the electronic project submit the application to Thailand, growing from the last year 230%, and most of them are semiconductor and hard disk dice. Now, I would like to present to you that what you can get from Thailand if you are in electronic industry, semiconductor industry, and would like to go to Thailand. First thing is the Thai people. So if you invest in Thailand, you work with the Thai people who can easy to manage and easy to work with them. So, and Thai people always loyal, have the high loyalty to the employer and high potential to be trained and can work together with the investor, even different culture. So in Thailand, we have many investors to invest in Thailand from many culture like Japan, from India, from China, and from Western side in Europe and America. And most of them, of the people can adopt to the culture of their job. Like from Japan, the working culture, they have the Kaizen or anything style that Thai people also adopt to that system. But from Western, you have Six Sigma or any other management system. Thai people also adopt to them and can work together and can help them to do more success. And the good thing from Thailand is in the strategic location. We are in the middle of the land of the ASEAN countries. So we have the low risk from the big natural disaster that impact to the manufacturing area. So because we are in the middle, our neighboring country already absorb the big disaster that come to the land in that area. And Thailand have stable on banking and financial system. We have a very high reserve on foreign reserve, and Thailand have the unemployment rate about 1%. So we are stable on financial system and banking system because we already has experience in when 1997 we already passed the crisis of the currency. So now we set up strong foundation for banking and financial system. So the investors do not worry about the system that will impact for their business. And Thailand are going to the carbon neutrality economy. So it means that most of the business who come to invest in Thailand can make sure that they can get the green manufacturing. So it means that your product will have less carbon dioxide into the world. So it means that you are green products, and we have the target to set up that we will have the renewable energy, 50% of our energy that to use in the business. And Thailand is in the location that near to the big market. So like China, India, we are among China and India, and in ASEAN countries that are very high growth rate of the GDP. And we also have the free trade agreement with many countries, and the new one is the RCEP that also have the big demand from this area. This is your opportunity for the market from Thailand. And what we offer to the company who invest in Thailand about incentive, we provide corporate tax incentive from up to 13 years. Sample on this slide is like if you do wafer fab, we provide you corporate tax exemption 10 years. For semiconductor, maybe up to 8 years, and can plus when you do some training, you have some expense for training or R&D, you can get the additional corporate tax incentive from Thailand. And we have developed the area with the world standard for the industrial estate to welcome for investors to come to Thailand. And recently, we prepared the eastern area. If you know Thailand about Pattaya, that is the area that the government try to develop that area to be the center to connect to the world. The EEC will be the gateway of ASEAN to the world market. So we already prepare many industrial estate for welcome the investor. And this area will have the deep sea port and international sea port that were easy for doing the business together with your partner. And another thing is Thailand already launched the 5G communication. So the 5G will drive many demand of electronic in Thailand, because we are going to encourage the agriculture to change to smart farming, and also manufacturing. We will try to change, let them to upgrade themselves to industry 4.0. So that's many things will going to be developed in Thailand, and we need the smart electronic to work in the infrastructure of internet in Thailand. So we expect to have high demand on this electronic industry. And with the strong support from the government, I think you come to Thailand, you will get to get many things to do in Thailand easier, because the government trying to support everything for the investor to come to Thailand, especially for our office, our board of investment. We have many programs to support to investor. Like we provide tax incentive, as I said, and also other thing is non-tax incentive. To invest in Thailand, we have non-restriction for the shareholder. You can own the company up to 100%. And even you are a foreigner company, you can buy the land in Thailand under the BOI period. And we facilitate you for work permit and visa to make sure that you will have more convenient to work in Thailand. And BOI also acting as the agency who coordinate with other agencies in Thailand. If you have difficulty from doing business in Thailand, BOI will acting as your partner to solve your problem and remove your difficulty. And recently, we also have the Smart Visa program that make you easier to come to Thailand. With this Smart Visa, you can get the visa to working in Thailand up to 4 years at one time, and then continue every 4 years. And with this visa, it already integrate the work permit. So it means you get work visa, it means you already get a work permit. So this will be the special program that we would like to invite the talents, people to stay in Thailand and invest in Thailand and start up to come to Thailand. And the last one is Thailand is the place that I think you will know well about the tourist in the destination. So it means you work in Thailand, you can recharge your brain every day. So no need to take a vacation for 1 month to come to Thailand. You will a workation, like a workation in Thailand, work and have a workation. So, and Thailand also have the quality of life index is high, and we have the amenity support. Everyone support foreigner who stay in Thailand, I think you can ask from our speaker, Kun Vivek, the last speaker that will confirm on this. And this is the last one. You know well about Thailand, about this, but we have more. That is the semiconductor industry that waiting for your opportunity. Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Mr. Channon. Certainly, I like the idea of a workation. That rings vivid for me, and also, very interesting to hear about the 5G investments in Thailand. Certainly, creating not just demand for smart electronics, but also providing an infrastructure for their development. So that's very interesting information there. So now I'd like to introduce Mr. Narat Rujurat, the Executive Director at the Electrical and Electronics Institute of Thailand.
Okay, I would like to share my screen first. Good morning. I'm Narat from Electrical and Electronics Institute. It's my pleasure to be a speaker today to tell you about ecosystem and HRD in smart electronics and semiconductor industry in Thailand. I will explain about the principal concept of the industry promotion plan, especially in the path of human resource development later in my presentation. Okay. I would like to start with a brief overview of Thailand E&E industry. In 2020, Thailand ranked 30 among world's largest E&E exporters. Export value is nearly $60 billion US. Of these, 60% are electronics devices, while the remaining 40% are electrical products. The graph here shows annual export value together with trade balance value that have been positive for over 20 years. This is the current situation, but we don't have to be with this. We want to move to the next step. S-curve industry is the target industry to drive Thailand 4.0. It is a national policy to upgrade existing industry to the next level, similar to the S-shape, promote electrical and electronics to smart electronics industry. Therefore, smart electronics refers to high technology or high value added electronics products, including, of course, semiconductor, high-end semiconductor. Refers to industrial and robotics electronics for IoT and Industry 4.0. Also refers to embedded system, embedded electronic system, enabling smart home, smart health, and other advanced services. This slide provides statistics of electronics industry supply chain. In Thailand, there are only few IC design manufacturers in the upstream level. In case of midstream level, there are nearly 400,000 skilled workforce in 1,200 factories, with the production value of $50 million US in 2020, and total domestic market value is almost the same value, nearly $50,000 million US. At downstream level, here, the number of workforce and factory are less, And you can see the production value is about half of the value in middle stream. Industry structure by upstream, midstream, and downstream industry is shown in this slide. I add details of the main product types and list of major manufacturers of that product here for your reference. For example, in case of memory and hard disk drive, key players are WD, Seagate, Toshiba Semiconductor, and SGST. The promotion of S-curve smart electronic industry means adding more players in here, upstream and in midstream level. Next is the IC industry. Players and product flow in the IC industry supply chain are shown in the middle of this slide. In midstream level, there are several IC subcomponents manufacturers. Key players are listed in this box, and all of them are FDI, foreign direct investor. In the third and the fourth process, major IC design companies and IC manufacturers are listed here. They export to Hong Kong, Singapore, China, Japan, and several countries. The last group is IC user, which consists of SMT and box build assembly and consumer product manufacturers. The following page gives details of electronic manufacturing cluster in each region. Electronic industry was first developed in Bangkok and surrounding areas. The product and major manufacturers from Japan, Taiwan, US are listed on the left, and their location in the province in central region are shown in the right. Later, the industry has expanded to the east. The first speaker had already mentioned that this eastern region is designated as a main area to support S-curve industry. It is known as the Eastern Economic Corridor, or EEC. The government has invested a lot of infrastructure here, such as a new international airport. High-speed train connects to the airport in Bangkok. Universities, research center, more stable electricity supply system, and so on. The others are northern region, northeastern, and southern region. And same types of infrastructure are also prepared. High-speed train linking Bangkok and the Northeast is going to build soon. In my second part of my speech, I would like to touch with the Industrial Development Plan to promote the smart electronics industry to be S-curve. Ministry of Industry has prepared a development plan. This plan consists of 3 main measures. The first measure is to promote investment and development for high technology in industry. This includes the promotion of investment in R&D, investment in manufacturing automation system. The second measure is to develop a suitable ecosystem. Target of the development includes research center, local digital platform, and reference standards. The third measure is to promote higher education, higher technical qualification, and HRD, focusing on reskill, upskill, and new skill activities for the workforce in the industry. Focusing on improvement of higher education system of the country. We realize that high quality of work, manpower, high quality of manpower plays a very important role in moving toward a higher technology industry. In case of the second measure, economic system development in the second measure of the development plan I have mentioned, new area of research center in the EEC have been prepared. For example, Digital Park, Food Innopolis, and EEC Innovation Park, or EECI. Photo in this slide is a new campus of National Research Center in the EECI area. It is Sustainable Manufacturing Center, or SMC. The construction has progressed by more than 70%, and SMC is expected to be operational by the middle of next year. The areas of research and technology support in SMC are basically automation, robotics, and intelligence based on smart electronics. In addition to frontier research, SMD will also provide the industry with translational researches and innovation for future production. They will work closely with the industry. And technical qualification and HRD in the third measure of development plan include higher education, research, and innovation system reform. Top-class universities of the country have established facility for advanced research for producing technical specialists in specific fields. College of Advanced Manufacturing Innovation, or AMI, under King Mongkut Institute of Technology, Lat Krabang, is one of them. The college promotes public and private collaborative research programs, postdoctoral and postgraduate research program in the area shown on the right of this slide. This slide presents example of other institutions responsible for HRD. For example, TPQI is responsible for upgrading the workforce with professional qualification system and occupational standards. Some of TPQI standards have reference to Japanese standards, Germany, and other countries. SBCI focus on labor productivity development through short-term and long-term training courses. MARA, M-A-R-A, under Department of Skill Development, focuses on manpower development in robotics and automation system. So you can see the third measure cover the improvement of both research system in higher education and vocational training and lifelong training of workforce in the industry. So I would like to end my presentation by this slide. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Mr. Narat. Really appreciate that. Again, a great overview of the industry in Thailand. And again, I found it quite interesting to see diversity in the supply chain, but also highlighting, some opportunities for growth as well in regions that the country is investing in. So thank you very much for that overview. So now we would like to pass it on to Mr. Vivek Jain at Maxim Integrated Products.
Thanks, Paul. You can hear me okay?
Perfect.
First, I want to thank Khun Itichot-san for actually inviting me, and the Thailand Board of Investment for inviting me to share our experiences of manufacturing in Thailand. What you see on this picture is our Thailand factory. We call it Maxim MIPT, Maxim Integrated Products Thailand. And we moved out here in 2004. Actually, we started business back in 2000 in Thailand. And you heard from Mr. Chenan and you heard from Mr. Narat. I want to thank them for sharing what can be done in Thailand. And as a user, I'm going to share my experience as to how it has been doing business in Thailand and growing our business. Now, before I go any further, you see the bottom logo. We were Maxim Integrated. We got bought by Analog Devices. So we are now part of Analog Devices. It's even a bigger company than Maxim Integrated. Its revenues of around $9 billion. And I think I'm really excited about being part of Analog Devices. And it gives actually even more opportunity for us to grow in Thailand. So let me move and share some, let me tell you what I'm going to talk about today. So first, obviously, I want to give you a flavor of the company, which is really Analog Devices. The second topic I'm going to talk about is what have we done in Thailand as a manufacturing site, the ease of doing business in Thailand. And the last one, I'm going to tell you all the good things, but I'm also going to tell you something about where I think we can get help from Thailand government and Electrical Institute to actually help us even more. Okay. So let me move on to the first set of things about let me tell you about the company. So the photo out here is our CEO, Vincent Roche. And, I think just to give you a flavor of what we do, we are an analog mixed signal company. So we kind of connect the real world with the digital world. So the digital world is zeros and ones. And the real world is like what we are speaking, right? That's just an analog voice. But we would have products which can take this voice and connect with the digital world, transport across the world, and decode it, and you can hear it again in live voice. This is really connecting the real world with the digital world. So his message is our singular purpose is to use our ingenuity and technologies to connect the physical and the digital worlds so we can solve problems that really matter economically, socially, and environmentally. So I think that kind of gives you the very top view of what this company is about. We are, as I said, we have got a pretty large footprint. Our revenues are around $9 billion, a very large number of customers, 22,000 employees. Actually, very interestingly, we invest about 17% of our revenue into R&D, which is really around $1.5 billion. Quite a few patents, many design centers, many products. Okay, so it's a very broad portfolio of products. And if you take a look at in terms of how this revenue is divided up, it's industrial is the biggest part of this revenue bucket. Half of our business really goes towards supporting industrial automation, industrial manufacturing, things like that. Communication, automotive is almost 1/5 of our business, and consumer, probably the lowest amount, but it's a fairly diverse product portfolio. And it goes through analog mixed signal, power management. We go anywhere from DC to 100 gigahertz on the radio frequencies, and we are supporting, all kinds of processing platforms. I think what we are really proud of as a combined company is now we would have about 10,000 plus engineers. And as I said, $1.5 billion worth of R&D investment. And this is really around solving most challenging problem for the world using mixed signal analog technologies. And this kind of gives you a footprint of our various manufacturing centers, design centers across the world. Okay, so you can see we have got internal wafer fabs, we've got internal assembly factories, we've got internal test factories, and we've got, of course, some partner factories. And where you see out here is really a test factory in Chonburi, Thailand. That's what is really the Eastern Economic Corridor. That's where our factory resides. And has been a pretty successful story in terms of growing our manufacturing in Thailand and Chonburi. This one gives you a feel for Maxim. When it is a standalone company, it was founded in 1983. Our first revenues really showed up somewhere around 1985. And by the time we got acquired by ADI, we were about $2.6 billion. And what I would like you to focus on is 2000, when the company revenues were a little over $800 million. And today it's just, before ADI merger, we were around $2.6 billion. So in this time period, in this last 21 years, the company revenue has grown by a factor of 3, a little bit more than a factor of 3, okay? So when we take a look at what have we done in Thailand, so let me now talk about our factory in Thailand. So it's got about 1,000 employees. Everything does get exported. It's a 12 acres of land. And as Mr. Channon talked about, there are many, many projects with the Board of Investment of Thailand, which provide us tax advantages. And obviously this factory includes wafer test, chip scale packaging test, package test, tape and reel and shipping. I mean, it does pretty much a lot of the back-end processing. Other than the silicon manufacturing, which was talked about earlier, it's pretty much supporting tests in the back-end. And this is just a timeline of 21 years in Thailand. And we set up an operation and essentially moved to this location in 2004. And from 2004 to 2021, we have continued to grow this factory. And in terms of complexity of this factory, if you look at on the left-hand side where we were in 2000, we were running 2 testers and 3 handlers. And if you take a look at it today, we are running more than 10 testers and more than 13 handlers. It's a pretty complex set of handlers, testers, package types which are there. And in this 20-year time period, we have grown the size of the factory by a factor of 8. So we were 25,000 square feet. We're close to 200,000 square feet in a manufacturing floor space. And if you look at just export value that is coming out of the Thailand factory, it has grown by 20x. So what you should think about is the company revenue grew by 3x, right? Our complexity of what we were running out here grew by 5x at least. And our revenue from this factory grew by 20x. And this number you see at the end is almost providing more than half of revenue for the company. Okay. So obviously this is a story of, excellent success. And obviously we have grown out here. And you can see that we do continue to hire employees. So both engineering headcounts as well as technician headcount, we have grown in double digits just over the last 1 year, 15-20% around engineering and about 13% for the technicians. I think the stability of workforce is really good. You can see the turnover for engineers. If I think about loyalty, commitment, passion to make the company successful, I really see that. And that you can take a look at the attrition rate. It is, really world class to have under 5% attrition rate. And on the technician front, it used to be a little bit high, but has got a lot better in the last couple of years. And I certainly think that being the electronic industry provides more stability of jobs for sure. And I think employees are finding that. And I think the second thing is obviously, as we hit this pandemic, which impacted the whole world, obviously being in the semiconductor industry, the manufacturing sites are really clean room areas. I mean, people are gone. There is laminar airflows. There is an air curtain almost in front of you. So I think if you think about really a pristine area, a very clean area where infections really don't transmit, those are these electronic clean room areas. So I think it certainly probably has helped us in terms of retaining our employees. So I think I talked about the growth that has been there in Maxim, and you saw a pretty dramatic growth over the last 20 years. And I'm going to talk about the ease of doing business in Thailand. Okay. And you heard from the previous speakers as to what Thailand provides. And I think I want to kind of a testament to the fact what Thailand provides. So ease of doing business. There are really competitive incentives. There's one-stop shop to get work permits. There are no major bureaucracies you have to go through it. The infrastructure is really good. I mean, I've traveled through many Asian countries and we've got manufacturing in quite a few places. I find the infrastructure is really world-class in Thailand. Transportation, utilities, major airports, getting across anywhere to anywhere, moving heavy equipment into Thailand, getting them out of there, not a problem at all. I think the infrastructure is really awesome. Education system, actually really top-notch engineers that we've got from King Mongkut Institute of Technology. I think we get many engineers from there, top quality engineers, the other institutes as well. I think education system is really top-notch. And we actually have got entrance exam, we got quizzes, tests to just screen candidates, and the success rate of engineers who are coming out of the institutes and just qualifying through our entrance process is really high. So I think this just goes to say that the quality of engineers we get from Thailand institutes are really, I think, top-notch. And I got to let you know that every time I go and visit Thailand and I spend a day or two with the factory, engineers will come and talk to me about the problems they have solved. And they're so detailed in their problem solving. And they're very insightful, and they're tenacious, insightful, excellent problem solvers. I always come out, my day is made every time I spend a day in Thailand factory. It just makes the whole trip worthwhile to just see what people have done and how well they do their job. The value system, I think this is a place people are really loyal. There is very strong work ethic. I mean, actually, we went through this whole pandemic, and I would tell you that the employees came to the factories every day. We didn't miss a beat. They're very conscious about following the protocols. We hardly had any impact to the factory. We, I think, survived from March till, I think, April, not a single incident of infection. There's a lot of competition, by the way. We have got more than one factory, and the spirit to compete and be the benchmark is really strong. They want to excel. They want to show what they're capable. Any metric that I put in front of my factories, they would do everything to figure out how to be best in class in that metric. So I'm really happy with the kind of, not just ease of doing business, but the talent, their commitment, their value set. It's really outstanding. So, and I think that's the primary reason you see that we have really grown in Thailand, that we were barely 1/20th of where we started, and today more than half of the company output is coming from Thailand. And I think I want to also highlight that, vaccination rate. Among all of my Asian factories, I think Thailand just stands out. So we've got about 1,000 employees. We got about almost half of them vaccinated through Social Security Office. And then there were remaining about 300 employees. And I talked to Khun Tichot, and he got us into this factory sandbox program. And as of day for yesterday, pretty much the rest of the employees got first shot of vaccination. So, and everybody got tested. And if there wasn't, there were about total of 3 employees who had the COVID infection, which have been taken care of by the hospital. But incredible system. The ease of, when you talk about ease of doing business and taking care of the workforce and making sure the business runs flawlessly, I think it just stands out. Thailand just stands out. So this was just another example of how quickly things move in Thailand to get things done. Well, Mr. Chanin talked about the taxes exemption. It's not a company based, it's about projects based. And as you see that over these last 20 years, we've continued to invest more capital, expanding the factories. In every one of them, it was easy to get tax exempt status for the kind of investment we are making. And there are a total of about 8 projects that has been approved by the Board of Investment of Thailand. So I think this goes really well. So I think what Ms. Chanin talked about, this is reality. Okay, so I'm just a testament for what you've heard so far. And I told you many good things. Of course, I was talked about how beautiful Thailand is. So you can work and you can have pleasure. And I think Thailand is really a beautiful place. I have spent a weekend with my wife in Thailand, and it's really a pleasure to be there. I wish I had more time to really enjoy what Thailand has to offer. Usually I just go there, spend a couple of days with the factory, and I just find a lot of fun. So if I had more time, I would probably spend on those beaches, beautiful places, okay? So let me talk about where I think is one opportunity which can really help grow this industry even faster. So this is really around really having talented workforce to really continue to grow the semiconductor industry. We do need a lot of talents. And I think what you see is that on the left side is enrollment for technicians, which really come out and can sustain our complicated equipments and factory floors. And on the right side is really new enrollments for engineering. And it's pretty stable. I mean, we are getting about 30,000 enrollments every year in Thailand. But I think this is where probably the opportunity is. If I were to make a request to Mr. Narat, would be to really see how we can continue to grow the capacity of outputting these higher quality engineers in a larger numbers. That's probably my only thing which is there. Okay, only one request. All right. So that's where I would pause now, and I'll open up for questions. I want to pass it back to Paul. Paul, back to you, and let me know how I can help.
Thank you very much, Vivek. Really enjoyed that. And again, hearing about your experiences and the growth of the company in Thailand, and not just growth in terms of the scale of your operation, but also the complexity and how that's had a positive impact on the business as a whole. So really enjoyed that. So as we go to a few of the questions that we have, I think the first one I might pass right back at you, Vivek. Again, you gave a great overview there, but some people may have concerns over political instability in Thailand. Obviously the company has been operating there for over 20 years. You've got a lot of experience. Just curious if you've seen any impact on the business through any kind of political instability in Thailand.
Well, Paul, I gotta tell you that concern probably does fly by your mind once in a while, that is it going to have trouble because of change in regimes. But actually, I would tell you that not even in 21 years, we have not had a single interruption which we felt because of political instability, not even once. Okay. Throughout the time period, getting the business in and out has been just smooth. So I say absolutely no concern. I mean, no impact at all. Not I shouldn't even use the word no real impact. Absolutely no impact. Okay. If I were to go back in my 21-year history, actually, I've been with this Thailand factory since 2009. So I've been traveling back and forth in Thailand and other factories for last 12 years, 11, 12 years. And I've never seen a sense of anything coming in the way of the business. Okay, so that's, I might as well tell you that there was really just one incident which has happened throughout my time period was really a minor issue of a flood. Okay. And I know there was 1 year, there was tremendous amount of rains, which did impact the northern part of Thailand, not the southern part, not the eastern corridor. And this eastern corridor, probably there was just one incident where there was one of the canals which was being maintained by the local facilities, Amata facilities, and that canal had some weed growth and was not cleaned properly. It really impacted us for maybe 10 hours or 12 hours. And that was about it. But there was such a focus to get things cleaned up. And after that, just maintained every year. So that's the only interruption I could think about in the last 12 years I've been with them, which was for a few years, and it was a natural lot of rain out there. And even that one, actually, we could go through relatively without much of an impact.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. And obviously, very happy to hear, that you've had such a positive experience through your time there. The next question is for Mr. Narat. And this one has come in. So what is the expectation from Thailand to improve or match semiconductor industry standards and norms? And what is expected qualification of young people to reach in this kind of advanced futuristic semiconductor industry?
Yes, I think this is the question about quality of workforce, quality of the education system in Thailand, comparing with the surrounding countries, Malaysia, Singapore, or even Vietnam. As I have mentioned, we realize that high quality of manpower is one of key factors to drive high technology industries. And it is also national policy to change the economic structure toward innovation-driven economy or value-based economy to increase the country's competitiveness. So the government gives priority to research system, higher technical qualification, and HRD. In 2019, Ministry of Science and Technology, Office of Higher Education, and Office of National Research Council have merged together to form a new ministry. Higher education, research, and innovation are connected and unified from policy to action. I gave example in my presentation about the development of institution of knowledge. That is the change we can see in education system. There are also other platforms in higher education, research, and innovation policy that I put in my slide. There are other mechanisms and schemes to supply high quality of manpower to the industry, such as scheme of talent mobility, move expertise from university or research institute to work with the industry, or scheme of global talent utilization, and so on. So I believe we can see the outcome of these efforts in near future. Thanks.
Excellent. I'm starting to wonder if maybe that question was submitted by Vivek based on his last slide there. But thank you for answering that, Narhat. We have time for one more question here, and this one is for Mr. Chanin. And again, maybe it relates a little bit to what Mr. Narhat said. So what is the strategy for Thailand to attract more electronic investors compared to competitors, and he mentioned such as Vietnam or Malaysia?
Okay, I think one thing that we do is the flexibility of the government that control the regulation, that we have the regulation that not we have flexible regulation. So that means what you do that we can talk together how to develop together. That is the support from the government. And the second one is, as I mentioned in my presentation, is I think the quality of Thai engineer, Thai workforce, and they have the discipline to respect to the boss. That means they will work, follow the regulation of the company to make sure that the company will have the higher efficient to do the business in Thailand, to do manufacturing in Thailand, and the people and also the supplier or many one that work together, it's easy to do. So directly, what do you say that they will get? And another thing is, in Thailand we already developed a good infrastructure for them, that everything that ready for investor to come to Thailand, all infrastructure, electricity, everything that already stable for semiconductor, that you need the good quality of electricity. So and what I also mentioned is recently everyone already have awareness on the global warming. So the business would like to be the green business. So Thailand also prepare this for the investor. So we invest a lot on the renewable energy, especially Thailand had the high potential on solar energy. So they can produce a lot of solar farm. We have a lot of solar farm to support the factory, to make sure that the company will get the clean energy. And the last one is, I would like to invite the company in United States to think about, okay, you may start from have a partnership with the Thai engineer or some company to do something like to develop soft embedded system, or to do on IC design, something like that. So I think Thai engineer can support you like this. I have the sample, like I know one German company, they integrate the company in German and Thailand. So during the daytime in Thailand is the nighttime in German. So then they integrate the time together, like their company can work almost 24 hours. So with this strategy, maybe have the can make them higher profit from the work together with Thai people.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. So now I would like to pass it over to Ms. Varawan Norasucha, the Director of Thailand Board of Investment, New York office.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that all the participants have done well through today's webinar with us. On behalf of Thailand Board of Investment, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to all of the participants for taking time out of your busy duties to attend the webinar. The semiconductor and smart electronics industry have been identified as a key strategy to take in leading the post-pandemic recovery of the Thai economy. The BOI, as Thailand's key economic agency entrusted with investment promotion, has implemented many measures to ensure that Thailand has remained at the forefront of the investment destination. So I hope that what you all have experienced through the webinar will help you consider or think of investment opportunity in Thailand. Again, If you'd like to have more information about the BOI incentive, please feel free to contact us both the BOI LA if you are located in the West Coast and Mexico. And for myself and my team, we are here in Bangkok, we are here in New York office, and we help the investors who are located in the East Coast and Canada. Okay, now I'd like to close my remark and officially announce the end of the webinar. Wishing the future prosperity to all of you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.